Right. No, that is actually like a block. I feel like it's...
Could you also grab my water when you get a chance? We're getting started after I have my water. This will water. Yes, thank you. Okay. No water.
The speaker for this session is someone who I'm very, very excited to introduce. Jesse Galef is the National Community Coordinator for the Secular Community Project. There are many, many things that I have read about him on the internet. One of the things that I specifically did not look up about him was what he is going to be speaking on. And that is because everything he speaks on is absolutely interesting and it's very diverse. When I started finding talks of his on YouTube about decision making as it relates to game theory and Firefly, I thought, this is the same guy who was doing workshops on press releases and how to be a media pirate, and he was on CNN. Just his whole repertoire is just really vast and very unexpected, and that's why I know whatever he's going to be talking about in the next 30 minutes is going to be completely worth your time being here. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Galef.
Thank you. I will try very hard to live up to that introduction. All right. As you can see, my name is Jesse Galef. This is about the Secular Community Project, but really what it's about is why I love the Secular Student Alliance, why you are so important, and how you can help me to help off-campus groups help you. It's a little bit roundabout, but I want to start by asking how many of you are from secular student groups yourself? Okay, good. So my history actually starts a little bit further back. I went to the University of North Carolina. I was with the Secular Student Alliance 4 years. Just left the beginning of this year. I was the communications director, had a fantastic time. I led, as Dan said, media workshops, how to be a media pirate. I give game theory of Firefly talk, also Defense Against the Dark Arts, if there are any Harry Potter fans. That's kind of professional. It was my headshot. I don't think it represents me perfectly. This, I think, is a little bit better. This is from the Secular Student Alliance conference last year. I really kind of miss it. This is the first year that I have not been to a Secular Student Alliance conference since 2008. I missed the SSA West this year, and I'm kind of sad about that. But my history starts a little bit earlier. I went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. These are some pictures of the UNC SSA. This is the cubes. There's a center of campus right next to the dining hall, the quads, the buildings for classes, and everybody passes through there and they get to advertise. You have to wait your turn. That was the UNC SSA group. And this is them in the pit itself, where everybody walks with Gary Birdsong, who is known as the pit preacher. He has a Wikipedia page. You can look him up. He's, I find him hilarious, but it's mostly about hellfire and damnation. However, these are not pictures of my group. There are no pictures of my group doing awesome things, because my group did not do awesome things. I was trying to lead a group. It was the Atheists, Agnostics, and Non-Religious Student Association, which already the title is terrible. But I didn't know what I was doing at all. I was not connected with the Secular Student Alliance. We did everything wrong. How many of you were in Kelly's talk yesterday? Kelly Freeman, a few of you. Everything she listed: have regular meetings, meet on campus, not in a bar, be prepared, do a combination of a variety of topics. All of them I failed at. And so I graduated, went to the American Humanist Association for a job. The group died. A year later, like a phoenix, it was reborn by students who affiliated with the Secular Student Alliance and took off. On one hand, way to make me look bad. It was clearly possible, I was just bad at it. But secondly, it reiterated how important the Secular Student Alliance was, that there can be people who want to make a difference, who want to have a group, who want to have a community, but don't know how. This is actually going forward without me pressing it, so I'm going to put it away.
Still going.
Yeah, it really is. That's interesting. And they're doing this everywhere. This is what I love about the Secular Student Alliance. This is a map. I don't know exactly when this is from, but you'll notice it resembles the population map of America. It's not that they're failing in the Midwest. Fewer people, fewer campuses. But as people are looking to start groups, the students have, you have the energy, you have the creativity, you have the passion. The Secular Student Alliance magnifies your impact. And after working there for 4 years, I started asking, why?
Goes to the machine.
Interesting. So maybe it's trying to guess my pacing. Oh, I think I know.
The hopcock.
Yeah, any ideas of how, oh, there we go. All right, let's try this. Yes, what makes the Secular Student Alliance so great? How are they so successful? Why are they an organization that I believe in so much? I'm no longer working for them, but I'm still a supporter, a donor, and hope to work with them more in the future. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but I boiled it down to 4 principles that I think are really important. First, they're cooperative. They are not trying to hold the only source of knowledge for the students. They connect you with CFI brochures and magazines, the American Humanist Association resources, Secular Coalition action alerts, the Foundation Beyond Belief service opportunities. They say, if there's something that can help you, here, let me find it for you, let me give it to you as students. They're not trying to monopolize the effort. Secondly, they're grassroots. This is not about the organization itself promoting something. It's about empowering you to do something you're excited about. It's really about what's happening on your campus. They are uniting you. I actually did not give this enough credit when I first started the Secular Student Alliance. The organizational mission is to, I think, organize, educate, unite, and serve students. And the uniting, I didn't understand at first, but after talking with more students and looking back at my own experience, I realized how important it was to have people who shared my experience of being a group leader, but also to talk with each other, network, learn from each other. And that's what I think the last point is so important. Bottom up, this is a learns from the students. You're coming up with ideas all the time. You're trying things out on the ground. You know what works, what doesn't. You know your campus, and we want to learn from you. And one of my favorite examples of this is actually from Brother Jed. Do any of you know Brother Jed? Okay, not everybody. So he is this hellfire damnation preacher. He goes around the country telling everybody how they're going to hell. Fornicators, feminists, dopers, which I don't know if he's referring to Lance Armstrong or people who get high, but probably both, frankly, he thinks are going to hell, because everybody is going to hell according to him. And students are faced with a dilemma. Do they confront him and argue, which might legitimize him, or do they ignore him and then worry about sending the signal to passersby that they're okay with the message, that the campus accepts this as, yeah, of course you're going to hell if you're gay. And different campuses have tried different things, but one of my favorites came from the Alumni Secular Student Alliance. I saw them doing Brother Jed bingo. They printed out an enormous card of the ridiculous things he tends to say, things like, whenever he says whoremonger, check. Whenever he says that all gays are perverts, check. They go around to the quad passing out bingo cards, and so suddenly there are students on the quad looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up, checking things off, and occasionally, when they get a bingo, getting candy. I love this. This is so creative. It argues back without being legitimizing. I think that what I really love to do is not always mock, but I went to the Alumni Secular Student Alliance and asked how they came up with this. I really enjoyed it. And they said, we would love to take credit, but we heard it from the University of Minnesota group at a Secular Student Alliance conference the year before. So I tracked them down. I said, hey guys, I heard from the Alumni Secular Student Alliance that you did Brother Jed bingo. That's fantastic. How'd you come up with it? And they said, I don't remember who came up with it. We got it from somebody else at the Secular Student Alliance conference that year. So one group somewhere, I don't even know who, I can't give credit to the right people, but somebody had this really creative idea, and because people are connected, because the Secular Student Alliance cultivates this knowledge, it spread. And now campuses around the country are playing Brother Jed bingo. There are resources for pre-made scripts because his language doesn't change. And everybody can capitalize on one person's really good idea. Going forward, the current slogan that I really love, Secular Student Alliance, are the present, because this is the kind of activism you can do. I was emphasizing that, especially more recently, but before that, the phrase that I used to use a lot was, we were empowering students for a secular future. You are the future. I think that the present is often underemphasized, that you are doing activism right now, but one of the things that I did not completely agree with about the Secular Student Alliance was that they had to focus only on students. I wanted to do more. I thought that after graduation there's still life happening. August, in his wisdom, did restrain the mission. We didn't want to expand. We wanted to stay on campus. That's the mission. That's where we're specialized. I still use the first person pronouns. But so I wanted to do something else. And so after graduation, what is there for you? Is there still this opportunity to have your impact multiplied, to connect with communities, to have friends, to make a difference? And I'm here to bring you the good news. Not the good news, some good news. There are some groups like that. The Humanist Community at Harvard. This is actually where I'm housed to run the Secular Community Project. This is them doing a street cleanup project. A lot of happy people who actually have friends and do things together. Okay, but that's near a campus. Of course they're doing things, just like the Secular Student Alliance. Well, how about the Humanist Community of Ventura County in California? They love going on hikes, doing outdoor things, having social events. This was run by Evan Clark, who was a Secular Student alumni, was actually the chair of the board of directors for a little bit. It's doing great things. Okay, but those are the coasts, right? That's Cambridge and in California. How about something in the Midwest? Is it possible there? Well, you're here in Columbus, where there's the Humanist Community of Central Ohio, a fantastic community. This is them marching in pride. I served as the board of directors with the organization for a year. They have Columbus Rationality, which I love and was a member of. Heathen Chicks, book clubs, game nights, just so many great things here in the Midwest for humanists and atheists. But that's with a paid staff here. I mean, the Secular Student Alliance is based here, Camp Quest is based here. How about something else? Well, the Ethical Society of St. Louis has a beautiful building, a really thriving children's education program in the Midwest. They just hired James Croft, actually, if any of you know him, to run some of the talks. He's getting paid to be a part of this. And that's maybe paid staff. Okay, maybe it takes paid staff. Well, not always. The Secular Hub in Denver is just a bunch of people who put together money to rent space. Already, it's been a matter of months. They're outgrowing their space that they had for over a year. They're trying to accommodate everybody. There's so many people who want to be a part of it. This is them at an Arbor Day planting trees, that it's really thriving. And that's exciting to me. But that's Denver, Colorado. They legalized marijuana, for goodness sake. How about something a little more conservative? Carolina. The Triangle Free Thought Society in North Carolina. I visited earlier this year. They're fantastic. They meet in a UU church, which is interesting enough, but it's a fantastic place for groups to meet, usually get cheap or free space. But this is them posing in front of a Freedom from Religion Foundation billboard that they hosted. They have a lot of fun events. I gave a talk there. It can happen anywhere. It can happen. Does it? That's another story all the time. And that's what we want to help with. So when I left the Secular Student Alliance, it was not because I didn't believe in the mission and the process. It's because I did. It's because I want to apply those techniques to the off-campus groups. So the Secular Community Project is an effort with the Humanist Community at Harvard, because they wanted to expand to a national effort, with the Secular Student Alliance, with the Secular Coalition for America, each putting in time to help make this happen, to make the off-campus grassroots movement as thriving and active as you guys are on campus. Why am I telling you this? You're on campus right now, or some of you are. Many of you aren't, which is great. And where do you fit in the picture? Well, look at these age demographics. As you know, the rise of the nuns. Younger people are less religious. It tends not to change a ton. The General Social Survey recently changed their explanation for the rise of the nuns. After looking at it, they decided that the biggest factor was, they call it generational replacement. In a nutshell, older people are religious and they're dying. Younger people are less religious and they're coming of age. So this is the most important age cohort right now. You guys, the younger generation, are coming of age and need to be a part of this. But do the current groups reflect that trend, or is it more a bunch of older people who are not necessarily representative of the current demographics? How many of you have gone to a meeting and been the youngest person by like 30 years? Yeah, it's not pleasant, is it? It feels a little bit alienating. And that's because of something that I'm refer to as peer group perpetuation. And it's fine. It's great that people have a set of people that they relate to, that they have shared experiences with, but it becomes a vicious cycle, or a feedback loop. Let's not call it vicious, because it's really helpful for people to have a peer group that they can relate to. They have the same interests, the same activities that they find enjoyable, same language, but that can be off-putting for somebody who's not part of that demographic already to come in. So If a woman comes to a group that's overwhelmingly male, it's a little bit alienating. If you're a person of color going to a group that's overwhelmingly white and interested in the things that those current members want to do, it can be alienating and might be driven away. Even the language. This is one of my favorite resources from the Unitarian Universalist Association, actually. Coffee hour caution, they call it. And it's do's and don'ts for how to interact with young adults. Things like avoid asking, how old are you? Why is that so important? Avoid saying, when are you going to have kids? That's private. Maybe people don't want to have kids. Avoid saying, I love this one, have you met our other young adult? Say instead, can I introduce you to my friend? I like that a lot better. But the language does matter, and the Secular Student Alliance makes a point to say students and non-students rather than students and adults. Because you're not kids, but a lot of times you get referred to as kids or as youth or the future of our community. You're the present too. So even knowing how to refer to you is important and something that we're still figuring out. But that's not enough. The language is not enough. We need to break the cycle somehow. We need to stop the peer group perpetuation, not to throw the people out who are currently in groups, but we need to find a way to introduce more people who are not fitting the current demographic. And what I'm focusing on is the younger generation because I have this connection to the Secular Student Alliance most. But we've seen it happen a couple places really successfully. And traveling around the country to see it happening, and then I can tell other people, what we found helpful is to have a subgroup of, for this case, young professionals. At the Humanist Community of Central Ohio, there was a group, Heathen Chicks, where it was just for women to meet, have their own group, and eventually as there was a critical mass, they interacted with each other, and then joined the Humanist Community of Central Ohio, and integrated more cross-promoted events. It worked really well. At the Humanist Community at Harvard, we advertised for a young professionals game night. We put it on Meetup, said, hey, meet other non-religious young professionals in their 20s and 30s to come to a game night. It had previously been mostly students and older people from the community, but suddenly by advertising this on Meetup, a number of people showed up. This is me playing Dominion with new friends, Lance, Sam, Travis. I actually enjoy spending time with these people, and I met them at a Humanist Hub. I don't enjoy spending time with a lot of people, for the record. But this is what I needed. I was moving to a new city. A lot of you are going to be moving to a new city when you graduate. You're meeting new friends, dealing with a new housing environment, dealing with a new job, learning a new city. And being able to plug into a community of people who are already there or dealing with the same thing, really helpful. And by getting that critical mass, by attracting them initially on Meetup, is one thing that I really want to try more. I want to help more off-campus groups try, because if this works, if other people can replicate this, it's a vital part of keeping the grassroots growing. I think a big part of it is knowing what you want to do. People who are not, in our demographic don't always know what we want. They don't know that we like to play Dominion, or I do. Watch certain movies, have game nights, but what is it that you want? Is it a more intellectually stimulating conversations after you graduate? Is it a chance to meet new friends, new romantic partners, job networking? You need children's education if you're having kids at some point. And how can they know that? Well, we need to tell them. They don't always know what we want, and we need to be able to communicate that to them. And so one of the projects we're working on with the Secular Community Project is this survey so that you can tell them what's important to you. And please take the survey. It should only take 10 to 15 minutes. You can write more if you want in some of the open-ended parts, or leave those blank. But it's important for us to know what the priorities are so that we can go to the ethical societies, we can go to the American Humanist Association chapters and say, look, this is what we found. We were surprised to find that job networking was a really important part. Can we develop resources so that your chapters can focus on that and help the young professionals with it? Survey questions like, how would you like to be referred to? Do you like being referred to as kids? No? Great, I can come to the groups and say, actually, 7% of the people said they were okay being called kids. The rest were really alienated. How about you change your flyer? Besides this survey, which bit.ly.com/SSA survey, is one of the ways you can get involved. The project is growing. We're doing more with the Secular Coalition, more with the Secular Student Alliance, but you could fill out the survey. We would love to get more feedback from you in the future about particular, more focused questions. If a group comes to us with a flyer or an idea, knowing what you think of it. You can get coffee with off-campus coordinators. We want to help facilitate that. That's something the Secular Student Alliance is talking about doing with its regional program, regional campus organizers. You can join a campus group after graduation. It might be a little difficult, as I'm saying, to sort of break into that peer group perpetuation, but if you can do it, if you enjoy that, that'd be great. If you don't, that's okay. But the last is forming one of these subcommittees. I really want to see if it works elsewhere. I've seen it work a couple places, but it doesn't have to be a huge effort. You have skills. You've been a part of a Secular Student Alliance group, and you can invite your friends. You can say, I feel like a board game night. This off-campus group has a meetup page with hundreds of members and can advertise it. Say, recent students and alumni board game night. Suddenly, anybody searching for atheist or humanist in Akron sees it listed and has a chance to come meet you and form that critical mass that will attract and keep younger people as well. I think that's one of the biggest things that I want to emphasize. The survey is a small imposition. I think 10, 15 minutes, I would love it. The larger one is trying to form a subcommittee, and then please tell me how it goes so we can know and continue it. Empiricism, fan of science. But other than that, you're doing things already. I love what you're doing on campus. I really believe that you're changing the world. I think the face-to-face interactions are the best way to change society. If we're trying to change people's minds about atheists and non-theists, if we're trying to get public policy based on reason and science, the conversations that you have with your friends, your neighbors, your teachers, your coworkers are one of the biggest ways to make that happen. And so thank you for all you're already doing. You don't have to do anything other than being yourself to do this in the future as you graduate and move off campus. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for being you, and I hope you continue doing it in the future. bit.ly/SSA survey, please.
And that's case sensitive.
Is it?
Bit.lys are, yeah.
I did not know that. Thank you. I hope I typed it the same way each time. I think there's a little bit of time.
A little bit of time.
A little bit of time. Any questions? What do we got? Yeah, I saw your hand first.
As someone who runs a group,
Oh, excellent.
Cincinnati,
Yeah.
I love having Secular Student Alliance kids. Students, I'm sorry.
No, thank you. Yeah, that's
It's a
excellent.
meeting and it's awkward. Every first date is awkward. Stand up, introduce yourself, talk about what your group does. You will get inclusion. You will get help. Transportation to and from events like this. Please be assertive when you go to these meetings.
Yeah. A quick anecdote. The Humanist Society of Greater Phoenix is trying to do something specifically to get a better relationship with the students at ASU. They're hosting a rock band night in their building, and specifically like having it a big event, trying to get as many students for this particular event as possible to start those ties. Yeah.
I just want to say, if you go to a group and you're the only young person there, the youngest person there, don't stop going. Just keep going back, and then eventually you'll run into somebody else.
It would be nice.
Not have seen you there if you had just quit going.
Yeah, it was better for the group's future to do that. It might be tough. I completely understand if you show up and say, this isn't for me. My first thought was to work with graduating secular leaders and have them start groups. I then found out that you're pretty busy. So that's not necessarily the best way to start groups, but I'm told to stop. Is that correct? All right, I will be around after this to talk more. I talk all the time, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much.